Hello and welcome to episode 56 of Nature with You. I'm your host, Abby. Here we come together to journey through our shared nature experiences, stories, and interests while learning more about environmental issues and ways to advocate for the natural world. Today I'll be talking to Charlie. Charlie was born and raised in Baltimore and Hamilton. He got his master's from Towson in arts and teaching and went to Coastal Carolina and was an English major before getting into education. He is starting his 20th year in teaching in Baltimore County, and the biggest things in his life are nature, reading, teaching, his wife, and family. Charlie is a great storyteller, and you'll see that throughout this episode. Enjoy! What are you doing when you feel most connected to nature?
There's really three things. I'm a big gardener, so I have an absolutely massive local garden in my backyard. My dad was a gardener, so I think it's just something that, connects to my childhood memories. So I like doing that. We always went hiking when we were kids, places like when my grandma did like Cunningham Falls. So hiking, I recently started section hiking the Appalachian Trail, which I can talk a little bit more about that, but just that's really being out there. It's kind of a whole different level than camping. And then my wife and I and some family and friends have done road trips across the country. So I think like it's a quintessential American experience is really driving across country and just connecting with nature. The first couple times we did it, we really didn't have an agenda. We had a couple things we wanted to see, like, maybe the Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore, Yosemite. I think that first road trip we did like 29 days and 8,800 miles, so we drove most of it. But, it's those three things really connect me to nature. It's the road trips that really made me fall in love with the national parks, the Appalachian Trail, backpacking, and then gardening. I recently, like I said, started backpacking the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, tell me about
A
that.
very different experience. Yeah, so it's not like camping. I definitely went in my first night very underprepared.
Okay.
So I had to build up in my mind, like, I'm going to do this awesome hike, loaded up my backpack. My buddy Scott was actually with me. We were going to do like the first section of the Maryland Trail. So we get out there, ready to go. It's early morning. It's very cold. It's like March, which is probably not the best idea to go. So about 2 hours into the hike, it's basically super uphill. We've overloaded our packs, and I just hear my buddy kind of struggling behind me. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't sound good. Then I hear him throw his pack down. I'm like, what is going on back there? So then I look back, and he's just done. We're 2 hours in the hike. We've been planning this thing for months. So he's like, yeah, I can't go any further. I was like, what? So I was like, yes, I can't. So I was like, dude, I'm going on. We've been planning this hike forever. So he bails on me, catches an Uber home. It's a whole nother story. So I continue on, which was a absolutely terrible decision. It's getting colder by the minute. Never done this before. I'm getting exhausted. I make it up this hill, hike about 15 miles through this state park. I think it's like Gaithersburg State Park, and find this like little cement igloo. So I like set up shop there. All right, I did it. Feeling all right, feeling pretty tired. Kind of fall asleep, didn't gather firewood, nothing like that. Wake up, and I am like, it is a massive like winter storm going on outside. It's pitch black. I'm in this cement igloo. Didn't really pack any sleeping materials. Freezing to death. I'm like cold to the bone out there. So I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do here? I started panicking a little bit. So I get out there and I'm like trying to gather like leaves and stuff, starting this fire, and it's below zero with the wind chill at this point. So it's like dangerously cold out there. Yeah, so I'm like piling up leaves, trying to get a fire going. Could not for the life of me. And I just remember looking at the woods. I'm like, it's about 2-3 miles through those woods to the state park. I may be able to get like help.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait. I was like, that's how people die. I was like, you gotta like take a moment, take a breath, and like don't panic right now. So I was like, all right, chill out. You're in it. You got to get through it. So I just kind of hunkered down, like opened up all the like hand warming packs I had, loaded them up on my body, and just somehow survived the night. Wake up the next morning, and it is so cold. My phone isn't working, not because it's dead, but because it's frozen. So I'm like, well, that's not good. So I can't call anybody to let them know the situation I'm in. And again, it's not like camping, so like there's not help around. You are on your own. It's not like you just say, I quit and I'm going to my car. So I'm like, all right. My water is completely frozen, so I have nothing to drink. And it's like a 15-mile hike back to my car.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, this is terrible. So I just pack up. There's nothing you can do when you're backpacking. You just got to do it. So I remember putting my like water bottles under my arm as I'm hiking out, trying to like defrost them, getting through the forest. Like as I got close to my car, my water didn't defrost the whole 15 miles. So I was like, this is terrible. People are like passing by me, and I'm like in a survival
Yeah.
situation. I'm like thinking about asking them for water. I was like, I can make it. So I did make it back to my car. Get home. I slept for like 3 days. So that was my first
Wow.
experience. I was like, so I learned like, like it is not. It's real life out there when you're backpacking. Like you need to be
Yeah.
prepared. It is not something you can just willy nilly be like, I'm just gonna go out because you could die.
Yeah.
So I went back out and with my buddy Johnny, and we decided to do the whole Maryland section, which is about like 47 miles, I would say.
Wow.
So this time, we were prepared, well, as prepared as amateurs could be.
Mm-hmm.
We did do it. It's like it took us about I think 3 or 4 days, and it's just when you're out there, it's like it's so beautiful because there's just sections where you'll be walking through like a foggy forest in the morning, and there's just nobody
Mm-hmm.
around, and it's just absolutely peaceful, and then you'll be walking through like this beautiful forest into these open fields, and like I don't know, it's just something about it that like you're just kind of cutting through these fields and looking around
Mm-hmm.
and just taking in like the natural beauty of the world. And then they have these really cool overlooks like Weaverton Cliffs and Annapolis Rock where it's kind of like the payoffs for all this hard work you're
Right.
putting in. You can put your back aside and just kind of like, man, and just take it in and just, I mean, really realize how like beautiful nature is. It's just, I think everybody gets caught up in the rat race,
Mm-hmm.
the cycle of life. Like you can forget that, like there's all this beauty within like a couple miles of you that is so accessible, and you don't have to backpack. You go on a hike at
Right.
a local park or something. But I think it's nature has played a vital role in my overall mental health
Yeah.
and just the person I am. For moments like that like it's just a lot of natural beauty out there that can really move you, and make life worth living, and being out there with your friends and
Yeah.
family and those kind of things.
Absolutely. And along with your mental health, backpacking 47 miles must be good for your physical health too.
Yeah, my buddy has still not recovered. I had some blisters. I was all right after a couple weeks, but he's suffering. But it is a grueling
Oh yeah.
workout. So I'm actually planning on now section hiking the Appalachian Trail because I'm completely obsessed with it. So
Okay.
I'm going to the PA section next, which is like 450 miles. So I figure I can do it in like 50-mile sections. So my birthday weekend's like in October,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna go out for 4 nights then. I'm thinking about doing it solo or with my buddy Johnny again, but yeah, I'm like totally pot committed at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it in the summer 'cause I think I would literally die, or the winter I've learned from it
Oh
was
yeah.
freezing to death. But yeah, I'm like in it, so I'm gonna go back out and do the next 50 miles this October, and then just kind of chunk it in sections. I mean, it runs from Maine down to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. So
That's
I'm sure
awesome.
I'm sure you're familiar with it, but
No, that's
yeah.
great.
So
And I don't think I've had anyone on the podcast talk about that before, so that's really cool. I'm curious, so you have the experiences of going to so many national parks, but also backpacking in
mm,
more remote parts of your home state. What's the difference with how the like natural surroundings or even wildlife is with both of those experiences? Because in my mind, I would think maybe you have a better chance of seeing more wildlife maybe while you're backpacking versus in a crowded national park, but I'm just curious about that.
yeah, I mean, national parks are just, I mean, everyone is, I mean, they're just so unique and
Mm-hmm.
beautiful and loaded with wonders and wildlife. I mean, you'll see things, I could tell you a couple of stories about this, but like, I mean, out in the Midwest, you're going to see buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
bears, wolves, moose, So, I mean, elk, you can keep going. Local parks, awesome and beautiful, just on a smaller scale, I mean, you're going to see maybe some deer and squirrel and things like that. But the scale of like the nature and wildlife you see at a national park, I mean, there's a reason that the country is like set them aside for a
Mm-hmm.
natural
Mm-hmm.
reserve protected.
Mm-hmm.
They are all, they're, every one of them is a wonder of the world. I mean, they're all so unique. Everyone has its own like little thing going on, its own kind of
Right.
wildlife. Like we were out at Olympic National Park, which is in the this is a long drive from Baltimore, but like the upper corner of Washington, tucked away in the corner there. And it is a wild place. So it's like it's the only place with tropical rainforest in America. So at one moment you could be like walking through this rainforest with like ferns taller than your head, and then like you could come to these magnificent like trees. It's close to like the redwood forest and just trees bigger than buildings.
Mm-hmm.
You have you come out and you can see some mountains, but then they have like you're right on the Pacific Ocean, so you'll come out of this like forest and all of a sudden you're just like on the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and they have these really cool tidal pools there, which
Mm-hmm.
is basically rocks that are, which I'm giving your major, I'm sure you know what tidal pools are, But it's when rocks are covered by the ocean during the day, tide pulls out, and there's little bits of water left. And as you explore it, they're just covered with like, these beautiful starfish of different colors and these like underwater creatures that are exposed for like totally fine, but they're exposed for
Right.
like 2 hours where you can just kind of see them. So like that's a good example of just how like wild these national
Hmm.
parks are and the things you can see. And then like the juxtaposition of that would be like a place like Great Basin, which is in like the deserts of Nevada in
Hmm.
the middle of nowhere. But at a park like that, you may not see wildlife, but you can go explore. They have the Lehman Caves, I believe they're called there, which is just like a whole nother like underground subterranean world. Like if you have not done caves, caves are cool, man. And there's a lot of cave systems in the world. So you might, be at a national park where you're doing some caves, and then at that particular park, they have these things called Bristol Cove Pines. Which have you
I
heard of those?
haven't. No.
They're the oldest living things in the world. So they're like these stunted growth trees that are like 5,600 years
Wow.
old. So you can just walk this path and see these like really cool old trees. And then you may go to a place like Rocky Mountain National Park, which is in Colorado, obviously near the Rocky Mountains. I was actually there with Greg, and there was this like we were driving around. You can see a moose when we first
Hmm.
get there, which is really cool. There was this dirt path that kind of went up the mountain, and we were in my wife's F. She realized, should we or should we not? We did. And as we're like driving up this, it was like being at a Wizard Oz fairy tale. I mean, as we're turning a corner, here comes this like elk, big as the car, like peeking its head out. We make another turn, and there's like this beaver standing there just looking at us. As you go further up, here comes a moose lumbering across. I mean, it was almost like people were sending these
Yeah.
things out in like a commercial or movie,
Uh,
you know. And then on the East Coast, you have like the Great Smoky Mountains. You have Shenandoah National Forest, which, those places are really like if you go there in the fall during the leaf
oh yeah.
changes, you have these vistas that are just, it almost looks like a Vincent van Gogh painting, that they're just absolutely breathtaking. And you're just like, man, like, it's just again about the nature thing. It's like, there's just so much beauty out
Hmm.
there. You could honestly drive, and I think I've done like 7 road trips across country. You could probably drive across country every day from this moment forward the rest of your life and not see half of the beauty
Right.
of it. We're trying to do like all the national parks. We've done 48 states and 37 national parks, so we're getting there. But we slowed down now that we have like house and dogs and
Right.
cats.
Right.
But the plan is to hit them all. And then you have like the state parks to kind of tie back to your question. Like around here is like Double Rock Park, which is a Baltimore County park. Cromwell Valley is a Baltimore County park. Absolutely beautiful, and you wouldn't know like Double Rocks, for instance, in Parkville, which is like a little Baltimore County suburb just outside of the city.
Hmm.
But you go there, and within 2 minutes, you're surrounded by woods and running water, and it has like a little mini waterfall going down these
Hmm.
two huge double rocks where it gets its name. And you might see, some deer running in there, or things like that. So there's definitely wonders in the state parks.
What national park is your favorite?
It's a loaded
Yeah.
question. I love a lot of
Uh-huh.
them. I always say, and I'll tell the story in a little bit, but I think the one that everybody has to see is the Grand
Mm.
Canyon, and I can kind of tie to that in a little bit. It might be, honestly, this place called Dry Tortugas. Have you heard
Oh
of
my gosh,
that?
actually the last guest just told me about it too in Florida, right? Yeah,
Yep,
and
yep.
it's really
So it,
remote to get there. You have to take a
very
boat ride.
remote.
That's so funny that you brought that. Yeah, tell us about it though.
Yeah. So only because I mean it is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. So Dry Tortugas is an island. It's an old abandoned military fort off the coast of Key West, and it is a 2.5 hour large fast boat ride off of Key West. If the people listening haven't been to Key West, that's pretty remote as it
Yeah.
is. We did a southern road trip actually, my wife and I, for our honeymoon. So we went just down south into like Everglades, Biscayne
Hmm.
National Park, those kind of things. And like the highlight of the trip was going to be we booked it like a year in advance, camping 3 nights at Dry Tortugas. So you get there, you get on the boat. As you're going out there, you're seeing these large, huge turtles swimming by the ship, which is just cool on the way
Yeah.
out. And when you get out there and that boat leaves, there's only a handful of campsites there. It's called Dry Tortugas because there's no natural water. All the water has to be shipped in, so there's no
Oh.
like drinking water out there. And then I mean, it is maybe a mile or 2 miles around. I mean, you are on a
Yeah.
sandbar in the middle of the ocean, 2.5 hours off of Key West, and there's only a couple people allowed to camp there. Now they have these like seaplanes come in during the day, or you can take like a 4 hour trip out from Key West and do a day trip
Hmm.
there. But really camping there, I mean, it's just such a wild place to be because when that boat pulls out at night, I remember I would just sit on the helipad and like once the 4 hour tourists went and came, just kind of watch them sail out into the sunset, and you're just out there.
Yeah.
with like a handful of people on this strip of ocean. It's funny because at night all these hermit crabs kind of creep
Oh,
out. And like it's pretty hot, so like a couple nights, my wife and I just put like a blanket on the beach and just slept at the beach. But you want to talk about stars? I mean, there's nothing
oh my
around.
gosh, yeah.
So I mean, the sky at night is absolutely beautiful, beautiful. And they have these like, we would climb to the top of the abandoned military fort
Mm-hmm.
and watch the sun go down each night. And as the sun's going down, I mean, it's just gorgeous turquoise water. This blue you can almost, it doesn't look real. It's just the bluest blue you'll ever
Mm-hmm.
see. And like sun's going down, the colors are kind of changing. And it's just this like beautiful moment we had each night there. So I think it's probably, if not my favorite, it's definitely in my top three. And I'm a history guy. I was a former social
Yeah.
studies teacher, so I like all the history stuff. And you can kind of walk around and get like the history of the military fort and all that kind of stuff. So that one's definitely at least near the top of my
That's
list.
great. I would like to hear your pitch for like why you think the Grand Canyon is your favorite, or like why you think everybody should see the Grand Canyon at some point, if you feel that way, because I know there are like some commentary about it being overrated or overhyped.
Yeah,
So I would love to
yeah.
hear your pitch.
It is 100% not overrated.
Okay.
So it's kind of another road trip. We're driving around. And again, long drives. I mean, I think we averaged like 300 miles a day driving for literally 30 days straight. So we're tired. This is like our first real big stop though of the trip because before that we had started like Myrtle Beach, did some Gulf Shores, Alabama, bopped around, no real mission. We're listening to some books on tape, which kind of gets you through some of
Yeah.
those long drives. And as we're pulling in, we get lucky and we get a site in the state it's national park, which is hard to do if you don't book in advance. Like, all right, sweet. At this point, I mean, we were like a well-oiled machine. We hop out of her car and we're just like, bing, bing. I mean, we throw a tent up like 5 minutes. I swear, we're setting this tent up. People just like looking at us with their mouths open, like, you've done this
Yeah.
before, right? Like, we're like professionals at this point. So anyway, we set our tent up. It's getting to be like evening, so it's not quite sunset, and we're like, all right, let's check this canyon. Everybody's, we've heard about it all our life, so let's check it out. So walk on over to the canyon. And I swear, this is like, you hear about people this happened to them, but as I saw it, I mean, it took my breath
Mm-hmm.
away. I mean, it was the first time, I mean, I literally like caught my
Mm-hmm.
breath. I was like, oh, it's just so vast and beautiful. I mean, I was just, I couldn't believe how big and beautiful it
Mm-hmm.
was. And the sun's going down. So
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's like the first shocking moment, just how huge it is, I think is the first thing. And then just the beauty of it. So as the sun's going down, we find like this spot to sit on the rim of the canyon. And it's just a moment I'll never forget. I mean, the sun's going down, and you can see as the Grand Canyon, when the sun goes down, the colors are just changing the whole time. It's just like this display of absolute magic and beauty, and crazy thing is, it happens like every
Yeah.
night. So as it's going down, I just remember, I mean, literally, I had tears in my
Mm-hmm.
eyes, and I'm just like holding my wife's hand, and we're just sitting there in this moment that. It's just a moment I'll never forget. I mean, thinking about it now almost gives me
Right.
chills. Just the sheer beauty and magnitude of that moment was just it's a top moment in my life that I was just like, man, there is really just beautiful things out there. And like, you think about all the crap in the world or the stress of your job. I try to keep that moment like tucked away
Yeah.
that like I can kind of go to it on days I might not be feeling my best or when the world's kind of crappy. It's just like, I mean, it's just a beautiful moment in my life. And the crazy thing is like, you could just go and see
I
that.
know.
So that's why I say like people should just see that because it's just the sheer beauty of it kind of like helps realign perspectives a little bit just to be like, there's bigger things going on here than like, the day-to-day grind
Right.
and all the drama in the world. It's like there is also like beautiful things happening and beauty in the natural world. And like whatever helped create and shape that canyon, it's just magical and breathtaking. And I think everybody should see it in their lives at least once for sure.
No, I agree. Thinking about how that was formed too is just that could
Wow.
make you go down a whole nother rabbit hole just for geology. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rafting it at the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really different experiences you could have there.
Have you hiked
We,
down from the top?
Well, I was about to get, so, again, not being professionals, the next day we get up and we're like, all right, let's go hike this thing, So, like, we're getting to, like, the hiking thing, and there's all these huge, like, warning signs. Like, be prepared, bring enough water. We're like, sure, dude. Like, we probably had, like, a bottle of water, and it's just me and my wife. I mean, I might even be wearing sandals.
Oh gosh.
So we start hiking the canyon, which do not do. Like, it's professional climb here. Like, I don't know, people go down with, like, tour guides, donkeys, and
Right.
those kind of things. So we're going down. I mean, it's just getting harrowing and more steep, and like we're like climbing over rocks, jumping over like crevices. I'm like, this is great. I don't know if we thought we could get to the bottom. You definitely cannot, I don't think, in a day, or at least we couldn't. So we get down pretty far, and then you're seeing like warning signs, like warning mountain lions in the area. I'm like, what is happening here? So we get, I don't know how many, we maybe walked like a half mile down, and it's so steep, but we were like, all right, we got to get back up this thing. We turn around, and we're just like this up the hill. I mean, we were going, my wife got literally dizzy, and I was like, man, am I going to have to get help? But we sat, collected our senses, got back up to the rim. So long story short is, make sure if you're going to do that to the bottom, you've talked to professionals, you're prepared, because people go down there and do like overnight rafting trips and stuff like that. But you can just drive around the canyon in your car, and they have very easy like walks to beautiful lookouts. So that's the move if you're first there. Is I would just take the car around and like do the beautiful overlooks, and every view gives you a different perspective, which is cool. It's so huge. Yeah. And then there's a southern and a northern end. We did the southern end, so I think at the northern end they have like the glass walk where you can kind of walk out over the canyon. Yeah, I'm a big reader of books too. So like I've read a couple of books about people's journeys backpacking the canyon, and that's like backpacking on a different level, man. But people have done it. There's no real trails down there, but you can do like a loop through it, and so it's just a land of wonders, man. You can really experience it in so many different ways. I mean, people do also helicopter tours, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm not in support of that because I just think it ruins like the natural ambiance.
Yeah,
it can't be great for it, but there is multiple ways to explore it and experience it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any memories from your national parks visit, this is more depressing, so it's okay if you don't want to answer it, but where you see people not respecting the places?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's always going to be a handful of people that are not going to follow rules and do what they want. I mean, in particular, like places like Yellowstone or anywhere there's like buffalo, like, you're always going to have people that get too close and just get off the trails, and, because they just don't, they're just so caught up in me. They don't have time to respect the beauty of the place they're in, or the animals and the natural habitat. So I would say almost every national park I've been to, there's been at least a handful of people doing things that are destructive either to the park or the animals. Yeah, 100%. So depressing. And you want to address it, but it's just like those people that are doing that, I think are like, it would be talking to like I'd say like a brick wall. I mean, they're doing things that are just ignorant and selfish. And, yeah, the thing that really upsets me is when they get too close to the animals, because animals just being, and you gotta get close for the picture, close for the picture. So that kind of stuff is tough to see.
And if something does happen in an interaction with the animal, like the way it's framed, it's like, oh, it's the animal's fault, and it's like, can you really say that when we're impeding on their space?
Yeah, and sometimes it'll lead to them getting put down, things like that. Unfortunately, a lot of animals do get hit by cars in national parks. They do have speed limits that are extremely low, but a lot of people don't follow them, so you do see like bears get hit. It's sad, man. So that part of it is sad because it's like a double-edged sword. You create it, like John Muir and Teddy Roosevelt created the national parks, one to save all the beauty, but to tell people there's a reason to save it, because it is so beautiful. So you want people to come experience them so that they do grow an appreciation of nature, and maybe they do become more like respectful of just their natural surroundings and animals. So that's the idea behind it. So you want those ignorant people going there that may not have experienced nature, or just haven't been exposed to it, and you hope that it kind of moves their soul a little bit, so that okay, maybe I should start recycling, or maybe I should, just be more kind to animals, or, treat the environment with a little more respect. So that's the whole idea behind it. So you kind of do want those people in there so that they can grow a bigger appreciation.
Yeah, definitely.
So we were in Teddy Roosevelt National Park, which is in North Dakota, right? It's a really cool national park. I mean, that's one where you're going to go, you're going to see wildlife, period. They have like these really cool prairie dog farms, which if you haven't seen prairie dog farms, that's a whole like TV drama going on itself, man. There's like these little prairie dogs, they pop out of their holes. They have this whole own language they've created. Like I don't know, I'm not going to recreate the sound, but they make this cool little sound of like, they alert others, and then the next thing you know, you got the one popping up over here, and one popping up over here. So I could sit and watch probably a prairie dog like colony all day, honestly, and just like have popcorn. This is great. I think they actually made a TV show about that, which is funny. So anyway, you'll see that. They have wild horses there, which is spectacular. And if you're from there, I'm sure you know like Assateague right down the road, and Chincoteague, wild ponies. They do like the pony swim, which is a whole cool thing. And those are actually state parks.
Yeah.
So that's a good example. Something you can see at a state park. And then you'll see buffalo there, lots of buffalo. And buffalo are huge. If you've never seen a wild buffalo, some of them, if you think about the size like an SUV can be, like the Male bulls are as big as those
That's
SUVs.
wild.
Yeah, they're huge. So again, another reason why people shouldn't approach them.
Right.
You see videos all the time online. So when we got there, you know, we got set up. We got lucky again, got a nice spot in the national park. We took a horse ride through the park, which was absolutely spectacular. It was actually the first time on a horse. Those are big, strong animals, man. At first, I was like a little reserved. Our horses were named Homer and Dude, which I'll never forget. And it just took us through this wild ride through the park. Funny thing is, you're supposed to like keep your horse from not eating the grass, and mine, of course, ate the grass the whole time. My wife was behind me, and they call my horse Homer because it just eats grass and
Yep.
farts. So the whole ride through the park, unfortunately, her view was mainly my horse eating grass and farting in her
Oh my
face.
gosh.
I had a spectacular view. So when I bring this up, so we had an awesome day, you know, exploring nature, checking out rivers. So we go to bed, you know, set up in our little tent. It's about 5 in the morning, and I just hear this snap. And then all of a sudden, something just runs and like hits our tent. I'm like, God, what the,
Yeah.
you know, what was that? It's early in the morning. So I unzip my tent, and I'm not kidding. A buffalo, like the size of like a truck, is just staring at my face from like a
Oh
foot
my
away. And I
gosh.
like back up. My wife's like, what was it? I'm like, buffalo. You know, I call him Tatanka sometimes because it's like with the Native Americans, you have Tatanka, buffalo. She's like, what? I'm like, there's a buffalo right outside the tent. Don't
Yeah.
move. So like backed up, scared to death. It takes a couple steps away. Like we slowly back out of the car. Back out of the tent. It's next to my car. I actually have a really cool picture I should send you because the size of this thing, it's like bigger than my SUV.
Yeah.
And we're just like like this. It had walked by and stepped on a branch early in the morning eating it, spooked it, and it stampeded it. So if it had literally went a foot to the right, it would have ran us over and probably killed
Oh
us.
my gosh.
So again, it's like national parks are awesome. There is a real
Yeah.
danger there. So anyway, after that like adrenaline rush, we were like up at 5:30 in the morning, ready to rock and roll. For the
Oh,
day.
absolutely.
But a very harrowing encounter with nature. It just kind of gives you an idea. Like it's beautiful, but it's also real and can be dangerous.
Right.
The buffalo are awesome.
Which, like, you've touched on this a couple times. I think your stories are a great example of like everyone, no matter your experience, can get outside and try new things and go see these new places. Maybe if you're doing more extreme stuff, do a little more research or have a little more preparation.
Correct, yes.
But I think it's just like great for people to hear that you don't have to be an expert on these things to enjoy all of these public
Yeah.
lands. And yeah.
Yeah, they make them very accessible. I mean, you could, like I said, like a place anywhere, Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, like you could easily never walk like I don't know 200
Right,
yards from your car.
right.
I do have a Yellowstone story.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I can tell real quick, just because I think this is important. So Yellowstone is, if not number 2, it's probably number 1. I mean, it's a rock star park. I call them these big, huge parks. You got to see once in your life. So we were there for like 4 days. And right before we left, we got a tip that there was a grizzly bear sitting on a kill, an elk, in the Lavar Valley, I believe it's called. So we're like, all right, we got to go check this out. So it's huge. It's about an hour drive to this valley. And sure enough, we get there. We see like this group of people had like converged. All right, something's
Yeah.
going on. Because it's hard to spot. You would think you would see bear everywhere, but they're a little more elusive to spot. So we get there, and sure enough, there's this huge grizzly bear. I mean, it's far away, down in the stream bed, and it had killed an elk and was protecting its kill. So we just got a set of binoculars with like a handful of people. They had rangers out there protecting, like for people getting close. And we just sat and watched this wild interaction of nature happening. So the grizzly was sitting on this elk kill, and a pack of wolves, and it's a very famous pack of wolves, had shown up. And what the wolves were doing is they would send 2 like dummy wolves in. The grizzly would chase them away, and the other wolves would
Oh,
come
yeah.
tear pieces of the elk. So they were, they were stealing the elk meat from the deer or the bear. So we watched this. I mean, it's just like watching like Discovery Channel live,
Right.
We watched it for like an hour and a half. We got really good pictures of the grizzly bear and the wolves. And wolf, getting a picture of them is almost impossible. Well, it turns out that wolf that we got a picture of was the very famous female wolf, 06. Have you heard
I
of her?
haven't.
So 06 is probably the most famous wolf of all time.
Okay.
There's a really good book, I'll have the same title, but I believe it's like American Wolf, something like that, about her. So she is just a mess. She is one of the only female wolves to ever be a pack leader in Yellowstone.
Wow.
It's a very male-driven world. Usually it's a dominant male that leads a pack. Well, 06 was a female leader of the pack, which is super rare, which just shows like the level, like she was
Yeah.
awesome. So it was actually her pack that was there taking the meat from the wolf. And we've taken pictures and kind of got it confirmed. So I have a cool picture of her too.
Sweet.
Engine tragedy though. So this is like that's another moment that like these national parks can gift you. I mean, it's just something that it was just amazing to see, and it'll stick with me for the rest of my life. The sad side of that is, and the flip side is that '06 was eventually let out of the park by an angry like hunter, killed.
Oh.
He got her to go outside of the park mounds, strung her up, skinned her, just did this horrible thing to her. I only mention that because, her pack came to that park edge. The story is for like a week and howled in her honor every night for like a week straight. Daughter actually ended up being another pack leader, which is cool. But it's just that juxtaposition again. It's like this beautiful natural world, but you have the flip side of it. Some people just ain't about it. So it's a beautiful story, but it also kind of a tragic story. But I just love the idea that like she was so awesome that her pack like literally just honored her, even though they knew it was so dangerous to be there, like every night howling honor. So it's just something I wanted to bring up because it was a very cool experience. If you ever get a chance, I'll also have to send Greg to send you the book.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a really good read. It just shows her story is so cool.
No, I definitely want to read that now. And I'm glad you shared that because you're right. It's like the beautiful tragedy of humans interacting with nature. But it also helped you learn more about the animals and their dynamics and the male, female, and the pack emotions and bonds. So that's really cool. And how sad,
it was a cool
but
moment in my life. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. You do have a lot of good stories.
Yeah, it's been a while, right?
Getting into gardening a little bit more, you said that your dad was a gardener, so did he help you get into it or teach you some of the foundation, or is this more of like an independent project?
Yeah, no, my dad always had, like I said, we grew up in Hamilton, which is just inside the Baltimore city limits, but he always had a backyard garden. And some of my like earliest memories are him just being in that garden. And I knew it meant a lot to him. He read a lot of like gardening books and, kind of brought me along and I would help him out. And it's just like that warm, fuzzy feeling I get when I think about it. And, my dad's still around, which thank God.
Yeah.
But it's just instilled in me another early way to like get out and be in nature. My parents were big on us being outdoors all day, like don't stay in the house. So it was a cool way to go out and you plant a seed, it comes in, you harvest it, and just something like very rewarding about that experience. And I just remember that from early. I can even shed, so like it's like drilled into my brain. So it's just a local backyard garden, but it's just something I was like, man, when I get older and get my own house, I'm 100% having a garden. And of course, when I do things, I do it to the 10th degree. That could be an issue. But my garden in my backyard is absolutely huge. It's too big. So I got expanded a little bit each year here and there. But I mean, when I say big, like I got into all kinds of crazy stuff gardening, but I'm mainly into like I would say hot peppers and tomatoes are probably my two favorite things. I do 2 growing seasons now. So like I do an early spring, you can do things like broccoli, lettuce, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. So like I do an early season, which you want to start like end of March, and that'll end right around Mother's Day weekend.
Okay.
So like mid-May. That's your first grow season. And like those kind of things, like I grow, I don't know, I'll have like 30 heads of broccoli, but I've learned like, cause I don't want to waste any of it. So I give a lot away, but we can freeze the broccoli and then we have like our own frozen broccoli right here, those kind of things. It's like I try to like, it really gets me to, the fun of it is growing it and harvesting it, but then also like using it and producing it.
Right.
I like to cook in those things. So, and then you get into the summer growing season, which is more like tomatoes, squash, peppers. I'm doing pumpkins this year, which they've completely taken over my garden. I swear I have a white pumpkin that may be 100
Oh my
pounds.
gosh.
It's a monster. So I'm not doing pumpkins moving forward just because they take up so much space. But when I say grow peppers, like, I mean, we may have to check the stats on this, but I probably have the most productive local backyard garden in Baltimore County. I mean, I probably produce, I don't want to put too wild of a number on it, but I probably harvested well over 5,000 peppers.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, that's probably a low estimate. And I'm really into like hot stuff and hot peppers, but I grow the whole line of them. Lemon peppers, scorpion peppers. The hottest pepper in the world now is something called an Armageddon. I grow that. Carolina Reapers. All the different strains. But I've really gotten into making my own hot sauces. I make my own like spice blends. I got a dehydrator. The first couple of years, if you walk through my house, it's kind of like a mad scientist lab in the summertime. Yeah, I got stuff hanging and drying. I got stuff fermenting over there. I mean, it's wild. But first I was like, I didn't know what I was doing, so I have a whole like mad scientist book of all these like peppers I'm
Yeah.
combining, and I just wanted to make the world's hottest hot sauce, which I probably did, but it tasted like garbage.
Yeah.
So now I've gotten more nuance, and like I'm trying to make it hot but taste good.
Yep.
But I was putting like 50 Carolina Reapers in a ferment jar.
Oh my
and it's like
gosh.
right it off, and it's like rocket fuel.
Yeah.
But I just love that whole like experience and like the whole mad scientist vibe of it, like just trying out different combinations, and like I said, now I'm trying to get a more flavorful sauce. I mean, a really cool spice blend with these lemon peppers and hot peppers that like red hots for your pizza.
Yeah.
I kind of make my own, put those on there. Yeah, so those are just some of the things I like to do. I grow, which you have to sow like actually in like the fall time, like end of October, and it comes in the spring
Yeah.
and summer. So right now on an experiment and mission to make my own garlic powder, which I haven't quite got there, but I have like 50 stalks of garlic hanging in my
Oh
bedroom,
my
or not my
gosh.
bedroom, my upstairs room. But just things like that. But it's just something about I go out early in the morning, and like the leaves are still covered in dew, and it's nice and cool in the summer mornings, and just kind of walking through there, and like to know that like I grew this, and like just something about that, putting my hands in the dirt
Yeah.
and feeling the world and soil. It's teaching is a wonderful, beautiful job, but it can be very stressful. So it's just a way for me to get out there and like be at peace with nature, and just kind of take a moment to myself. It's nice and quiet out there. You might hear some birds chirping, but it's very peaceful for me to just kind of be out there and work in the soil. And it's just a huge part of my life
Yeah.
now that I really love.
What was the most difficult to learn how to grow or harvest effectively?
So I would say, which I still have not conquered, is honestly root vegetables are very
Okay.
tough, like carrots and beets, because the soil has to be extremely loose, which I have night. If I get one tip to gardeners out there, the most important thing is to have loose soil. Till it, till it, till it. Because if you have hard rock soil, the roots will grow out like this across instead of down. You want really deep roots. So root vegetables have been hard to grow, even with I have really good loose soil, but I haven't conquered carrots and beets yet. So those are tough,
Yeah.
But the whole garden thing, like we really try to I'm very anti like factory farms,
Yeah.
and we get all of our meat from a local farmer a couple miles up the road. Takes a little bit more effort, but we know like the animals are treated ethically and humanely, and like so going the extra mile pays. Plus you're supporting the local business.
Right.
So I'm very anti like Monsanto. So the most we can produce, the least things we have to buy from supermarkets is good. Like we try to buy minimal stuff from there, grow what you can, and the rest get from local farmers. So I think that's another key component of the whole backyard garden thing for me at
Yeah.
least, is just the importance of not supporting factory farms or companies like Monsanto.
And you said you share some of the stuff that you harvest. So what does that
Yep.
sharing look like?
So everybody tells me I need to put out a front yard pharmacy.
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant to do it, only because I feel like if somebody eats like a super hot pepper, I'm gonna get like
Yeah.
soup. But so it's more right now giving to neighbors, family, and
Okay.
friends. I produce enough, and I think one of my friends made a great suggestion. My buddy Scott, which I think I'm gonna do, is look to food banks.
Oh, yeah.
So I do produce, and I mean I'm talking like hundreds of tomatoes. Like I said, thousands of peppers. I mean squash. I grew bitter melons this year, which they are terrible. I have tons of them that I not eat, but they're super good for you. So I think I'm going to look to start giving things more to food banks. So right now it's more like a friends and family thing. And then I spend most of my summer days, if I'm not like teaching, harvesting and producing.
Yeah.
That's what I do, because I don't want any of it go to waste. So I make like my own tomato sauces,
Right.
make it, but I feel like all I do in the summer is harvest and then produce and then make stuff with it.
Do you do any composting to help your soil, or is that not really?
I do. I try to be respectful of my neighbors,
Yeah.
because I do have neighbors behind me on the sides, which are great neighbors. But I think what we're going to do, because composting is so good for your
Yeah.
soil, I do cover my beds, and it's a good tip with like grass cuttings
Mm.
to winter them, which I think helps because it just helps retain some of the moisture in your soil. And I'll bury a couple extra things under or far enough where like I guess like squirrels or whoever is not going to dig them up. But I think I'm going to get above ground compost bins next year, because I do want to start composting. We got plenty of stuff. Like I just made tomato sauce, for instance, yesterday, and all like the skins and seeds and stuff, they're just in my garbage. Like I could be composting
Right,
that,
right.
putting it back into the garden to have even more strong soil, which I grow so much stuff and have so many seasons. Eventually, like I'm going to either have to start not growing in one bed or take a season off, which would be bad. So I'm definitely going to start composting.
Yeah. How do you handle like pests or critters with your garden? Because it seems like it's at a big scale, and that would be something that you would have to consider.
Yeah. I built a fence around it, and honestly, I grow so much now that like I stopped growing things like strawberries because you just can't, like, unless you cover them with nets, they're gonna get eaten by like the squirrels, the rabbits, and the rodents. So I grow enough to where I just, I take my losses
Yeah.
basically. But the fence keeps the big things out. I mean, I live across the street from an elementary school, so they do get some deer back in there, but I don't think they could get into my yard
Okay.
because it's fenced. So you're really looking to keep out like the rabbits, the
Yeah.
mice, the squirrels. The worst thing, actually, and people probably wouldn't think about this, are the birds. What they do is they fly in and they peck little holes in your tomatoes, and it ruins
Yeah.
them. They rot. So, like, that's a bummer because you'll have this beautiful, perfect red tomato, but the bird has taken one bite out
Right.
of the thing, and it's like good. So that would be another way where I could just take that instead of tossing compost
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's really just defense. I don't use any pesticides. I don't use any chemicals. It's a completely natural garden. Like I just cut my losses instead of like spraying chemicals. Because to me, the whole idea to eat from the garden is to have stuff that doesn't have any
Right.
chemicals in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't use any of that stuff at all.
For sure. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about your garden or gardening in general?
What? No, just start easy, man. Anybody could go get a seed and put it in the ground, pour some water in it. It's fun to watch it grow.
I have 3 little bell pepper plants that the
Okay.
peppers are finally turning their color. They're red.
Yeah.
So,
This time of the
yeah,
year.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And like my fiance and I are obsessed with eating bell peppers. So the fact that we might be
Nice.
able to grow them for ourselves and not buy them is so
And
exciting.
it'll be the best tasting bell pepper
I
you've
hope
ever
so.
eaten in
I
your
hope
life.
so.
That's a fact. Yeah, this is peppers come in. You start them early and they come in very late. They'll go all the way to like October.
Oh,
Really,
really?
but this is the time of the year when they start really coming in and changing to the right colors. Yeah, but yeah, if it'll be the best pepper you've ever eaten in your life.
I'm very excited. And I need to be patient because that's one thing
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
usually impatient when I'm excited for something. So just waiting for it to be
Yeah, definitely
ready.
patience is. Yeah, it's important virtue in gardening is patience. You don't want to pick them too early; it'll ruin
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. What is something you want people to know about nature?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like the theme is that, it can really move you to your soul. I think what nature does, it's, first of all, the planet nature gives us all life, right? Without it, we wouldn't be here. So, like, I do wish people would be more respectful of it. Like, I hate seeing people litter, but just that it can really move you and really help put things in perspective and just show, like, I think people get so caught up in the day-to-day grind, and I get it, life is tough, but nature can be this beautiful release and escape, and it can really ground you and kind of just put things in perspective that there's bigger things out there going on, and that, just a simple walk in the woods can really just put things at ease, I guess, in your mind and help you kind of escape for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would the woods be like your biggest escape for a type of landscape?
It's interesting. I always thought I was a beach guy. Right? I
Okay.
was like, I'm gonna retire to the beach, love the beach, and I do like the water in the ocean. But yeah, I think I'm much more of a forest guy now. I think the forest would probably be my go-to now at this point. I just feel once I'm in there, it's just like the rest of the world kind of melts
Yeah.
away, and when you breathe in that smell, and it's just like this weight of the world kind of drifts off my shoulders. So I think I'm very much a forest guy.
Okay. I think I used to be a forest person and now I live on the river. So it's just
Yeah,
like
well, the river's cool.
being on the water will just kill me, honestly. So that's something I try
Yeah,
not to take for granted every day I live here. I'm like, I have to at least go out and look at it and take it in once a day, for even if it's 5 minutes. I try
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, the sound of like the river running there's something about that.
Yeah.
I think it ties like deep to our roots as
Yeah.
humans. Like, I mean, I guess we'll start in a water-filled womb, but the water and the sound of running water definitely also puts me at ease. So it's a tough toss up,
Yeah.
but that's awesome to live in the water. If I did, I would definitely go out and at least listen to it run, for a couple minutes a day. For
Yes, you're right. We get so caught up, and there are some days where I'm working long hours, and I'm like, I just want to lay on the couch. But having that time out there,
sure.
it'll do much more than just laying on the couch, for sure.
Yeah, it's like your own private therapist out there. You gotta
Yes,
pay for it.
exactly.
It's like free monthly therapy, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, since I started this podcast with the intention to talk more about environmental issues and terminology that might be like hot terms, so I always finish the podcast by asking my guests, what do you know about climate change, or what do you want people to know about climate change if you feel like you are more knowledgeable? So, based on either of those questions, what do you have to say about that?
I think one thing that drives me crazy that's changing the world and the climate is bottom trawling and like ocean net fishing. I think like people need to be more cognizant of the fact that that's happening. These boats go in, drop nets, and wipe out complete ecosystems. They don't need to do that. It's absolutely destructive. It kills every single thing in the path, and they throw away like 80% of the catch. It is absolutely terrible for the world. So that is a absolutely horrendous practice that needs to stop. They have started putting aside sections of the ocean, kind of like national parks, like national reserves, and nature is miraculous. It will find a way to rebound. So I think it's important to try to ban practices like that bottom trawling and the ocean dragnet fishing, and to really set aside more spaces, preserves in the ocean, because nature will rebuild. I mean, again, the earth provides us with life. Without it, we don't have a chance. So like practices like that, I'm very anti that. I think companies like Monsanto, factory farms, people need to start buying locally. Those things are absolutely terrible for the environment. The animals are treated terribly. They're loaded with chemicals. I mean, from local farms, at least they're treated humanely. You know what's going into them. So I think people just need to be more, cognizant of the evils that are going on when you're walking through that supermarket, the stuff that got there and what it went through, and I think that's a easy place to start and kind of learn about is, where your food is coming from. Because I think if people knew where their food was coming from and how the animals and plants were being treated, they would maybe start to look to alternative means to acquire those goods. So I think that's a good place for people to start. And again, just my own soapbox, I would love to see like bottom trawling.
Yeah. Do you have any last words that you want to leave with the audience?
I think it's just, again, that nature can move to your soul. It's a huge world out there. You probably live within 2 miles of a county, state, or even a national park. Get out there and just see how beautiful the natural world is. I think it could change your life.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Nature with You. Interested in more content? Search Nature with You on Instagram or Facebook, or look at more episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Thank you.